art of war of the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire's military organization was centered around the thematic system, introduced in the 7th century CE. This system divided the empire into military districts called themes, each overseen by a strategos. Soldiers, known as stratiotai, were granted land in exchange for military service, creating a self-sustaining defense mechanism that allowed for rapid local troop mobilization. This decentralized structure enabled the empire to maintain a large standing force without the financial burden of a centralized army. Complementing this were the tagmata, elite professional units based in Constantinople, serving as the emperor's guard and a rapid response force. Byzantine military tactics emphasized flexibility and the use of combined arms. The army integrated various troop types, including heavily armored cataphracts, lighter cavalry, infantry, and specialized units such as archers and engineers. This combined arms approach allowed for adaptable and effective battlefield strategies. Logistics and intelligence were also critical to their military success, with well-developed supply chains and sophisticated reconnaissance methods. This comprehensive and adaptive military organization was a key factor in the Byzantine Empire's enduring resilience and ability to repel a wide range of external threats over many centuries. Evolution of Byzantine military organization. The military organization of the Byzantine Empire evolved significantly from its foundation in the late Roman period up to its fall in 1453. Initially, the Byzantine military retained many features of the Roman legions, including their organization, tactics, and discipline. However, as the empire faced new threats and challenges, it adapted and restructured its forces. In the early Byzantine period, the army was composed of comitatenses and limitanae. The comitatenses were mobile units stationed in the interior of the empire, ready to respond to invasions, while the limitanae were less mobile, but tasked with defending the empire's frontiers. This system allowed the Byzantines to maintain a flexible defense against both internal and external threats. During the reign of Emperor Justinian I, significant military campaigns were undertaken to reconquer lost territories in the west, including North Africa, Italy, and parts of Spain. This period saw the deployment of both the regular army and federati, allied barbarian troops, in large-scale operations. The use of mercenaries and allies became more common as the empire expanded its reach. The 7th century brought dramatic changes with the rise of Islam and the rapid expansion of the Arab Caliphate. The Byzantine military faced severe pressure, losing territories in the Levant, Egypt, and North Africa. In response, the empire reorganized its military structure into themes, themata, regional military districts that combined civil and military administration. Each theme was responsible for raising and maintaining its own troops, leading to a more localized and self-sufficient defense system. The thematic system allowed for greater flexibility and resilience, enabling the empire to recover and even regain some lost territories in the following centuries. By the 10th century, the Byzantine military reached a new peak under emperors like Nikephoros II Phocas and John Ernst Tzimiskes. The army was highly professional, with a strong emphasis on heavy cavalry, cataphracts, and well-trained infantry. The empire also employed a variety of specialized units, such as the Varangian Guard, an elite corps of Norse mercenaries serving as the emperor's personal bodyguard. The 11th century saw a decline in military effectiveness due to internal strife, economic difficulties, and external pressures from the Normans, Pechenegs, and Seljuk Turks. The catastrophic defeat at the Battle of Manzikert in 1071 led to the loss of most of Anatolia, the heartland of the empire. This loss forced further military reforms, including reliance on mercenaries and increased use of pronoia, a system where land grants were given in exchange for military service. The Komnenian Restoration, 1081–1185, under emperors like Alexios I, John II, and Manuel I, saw a revival of Byzantine military power. The Komnenian emperors reformed the army, re-established control over parts of Anatolia, and conducted successful campaigns against the Normans and Seljuks. They also formed alliances with Western European powers, including the Crusaders, to bolster their military efforts. However, the 13th century marked a period of fragmentation and decline. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 resulted in the sack of Constantinople and the establishment of the Latin Empire, dividing the Byzantine territories among various Crusader states and Byzantine successor states. The Nicene Empire, one of the successor states, eventually recaptured Constantinople in 1261, but the Byzantine military never fully recovered its former strength. In the final centuries of the Byzantine Empire, the military continued to rely heavily on mercenaries and alliances. The rise of the Ottoman Turks posed an existential threat, and despite several desperate attempts at reform and military expeditions, the Byzantines could not withstand the Ottoman advance. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 marked the end of the Byzantine Empire, with its military traditions and organizational structures absorbed into the Ottoman military system. Seku. Themes. Themata. System. The thematic system was a transformative military and administrative framework that became the backbone of the Byzantine Empire's defensive strategy from the 7th century CE onwards. Originating as a pragmatic response to the empire's dire military and territorial crises, particularly the rapid expansion of the Arab Caliphate, the thematic system sought to decentralize military power and integrate it with local governance. Themes, themata, were military districts, each overseen by a strategos who held both military and civil authority, ensuring efficient and localized command. This dual role was critical for the rapid mobilization of resources and troops and for maintaining order and stability within the empire. The development of the themes involved the distribution of land to soldiers, known as stratiotai, in exchange for their military service. This land grant system created a class of soldier farmers who were economically self-sufficient and thus less reliant on central funding. This arrangement was beneficial for the empire as it reduced the financial burden on the central government while ensuring a steady and locally sourced supply of troops. The stratiotai were responsible for defending their local regions, which fostered a sense of loyalty and dedication to the defense of their homes and lands. This system of land grants also tied the military service to local economic productivity, creating a sustainable model of military readiness. Geographically, the thematic system was strategically implemented to cover key regions of the empire, with initial themes established in Asia Minor, a region crucial for its strategic depth and resources. Major early themes included the Opsikion, Anatolikon, Armeniakon, and Thrakizion, each covering extensive territories that served as buffers against eastern invasions. These themes were designed to protect vital areas, maintain control over key communication routes, and ensure the security of the empire's heartland. Over time, as the Byzantine Empire faced new threats, the thematic system expanded to include regions in Europe, such as the themes of Hellas, Macedonia, and Thrace, addressing the increasing pressures from the north and west. The thematic system underwent significant changes and adaptations in response to evolving political and military challenges. Initially, themes were vast and powerful, with strategoi wielding substantial authority. However, as the risk of powerful military governors becoming rebellious increased, the empire began to subdivide these large themes into smaller units. This division aimed to balance power, reduce the risk of insurrection, and improve administrative efficiency. The subdivision of themes also allowed for more precise and localized governance, ensuring that military and civil duties could be managed more effectively. Throughout the 9th and 10th centuries, the thematic system continued to evolve. New themes were established in recently reconquered territories, reflecting the Byzantine resurgence under the Macedonian dynasty. This period saw a strengthening of the thematic armies and an emphasis on professionalizing the military. By the 11th century, however, the system began to face challenges. Increased reliance on mercenary forces, economic strains, and internal political conflicts weakened the thematic structure. Despite these challenges, the principles of the thematic system, local defense, economic self-sufficiency, and decentralized military power, remained influential in Byzantine military strategy. Local militias and thematic troops were integral to the effectiveness of the thematic system. Thematic soldiers, or stratiotai, were typically part-time warriors who balanced military duties with farming. This dual role ensured that soldiers were invested in the defense of their own lands, contributing to high morale and local loyalty. In addition to the stratiotai, local militias composed of civilian volunteers played a crucial role in regional defense. These militias could be mobilized quickly in times of need, providing additional manpower and support to the regular thematic troops. The integration of militias into the broader military strategy allowed the Byzantine Empire to maintain a flexible and responsive defense system, capable of addressing both large-scale invasions and localized threats. The third, Elite military units of the Byzantine Empire. The Tagmata. The Tagmata were elite military units in the Byzantine Empire, initially formed in the mid-8th century during the reign of Emperor Constantine V. These regiments were created as a counterbalance to the thematic armies, which were regional forces that often held significant local power and could pose a threat to the central authority. The Tagmata were stationed in and around Constantinople, ensuring their loyalty to the emperor and serving as a rapid reaction force in times of crisis. The Tagmata were composed of several regiments, each with specific functions and distinct identities. Notable among these were the Scolae, the Excubitors, the Vigla, and the Hikonatoi. The Scolae, believed to be the oldest of these units, traced their origins back to the late Roman Imperial Guard. The Excubitors served as both a palace guard and a field unit, known for their loyalty and effectiveness. The Vigla was responsible for internal security and communication, while the Hikonatoi, established by Emperor Nicephorus I, were known for their rigorous training and elite status. These regiments played a crucial role in Byzantine military operations. They were highly trained, well-equipped, and maintained a high state of readiness. The Tagmata were often deployed in critical battles and campaigns, providing a reliable and disciplined core around which the larger, less professional thematic forces could operate. Their presence ensured that the emperor had a dependable and capable force at his disposal, both for defense and for asserting control over the empire. Varangian Guard. The Varangian Guard was one of the most famous and formidable units in Byzantine military history. Originating in the late 10th century, the Varangian Guard was composed primarily of Norsemen from Scandinavia and, later, Anglo-Saxons from England. The unit was initially established by Emperor Basil II as part of his alliance with the Kievan Rus' Prince Vladimir, who provided the initial contingent of Varangian warriors. The Varangian Guard quickly distinguished itself through its fierce loyalty, martial prowess, and distinctive cultural identity. Unlike other units, the Varangians swore direct allegiance to the emperor, making them a reliable and incorruptible force within the often tumultuous Byzantine political landscape. Their loyalty was further cemented by generous pay and privileges, including the right to plunder during campaigns. The Varangians were heavily armed and armored, typically wielding large axes and swords, and known for their fearlessness in battle. They served as the emperor's personal bodyguard, a role that extended from ceremonial duties in the capital to active participation in military campaigns. The Guard's presence was a significant deterrent to would-be usurpers and a critical factor in maintaining imperial stability. Their valor and effectiveness in battle were well documented, with the Varangians playing key roles in numerous military engagements throughout their history. Cataphracts. The Cataphracts were the elite heavy cavalry of the Byzantine Empire, renowned for their imposing presence and battlefield effectiveness. Their development can be traced back to the influence of earlier Roman and Persian cavalry traditions, which emphasized heavily armored horsemen capable of delivering devastating charges against enemy lines. By the 6th century, under the reign of Justinian I, the Cataphracts had become a cornerstone of Byzantine military strategy. These cavalrymen were heavily armored, with both horse and rider clad in chainmail or lamellar armor, providing exceptional protection. They carried a variety of weapons, including lances for charging, swords for close combat, and bows for ranged attacks, making them highly versatile on the battlefield. The Cataphracts' role evolved over the centuries, reflecting changes in military tactics and the empire's strategic needs. During the height of the Byzantine military power in the 10th and 11th centuries, Cataphracts were the spearhead of many Byzantine armies, their charges often decisive in breaking enemy formations. The Cataphracts were organized into elite units such as the Klibanarii and the Optimatoi, each known for their rigorous training and discipline. The effectiveness of the Cataphracts waned in the later Byzantine period due to economic constraints, the empire's shrinking territorial base, and the changing nature of warfare, which saw a rise in the use of lighter, more mobile troops. Despite this decline, the legacy of the Cataphracts endured, influencing the development of European knightly cavalry in the medieval period. Their combination of heavy armor, versatile weaponry, and disciplined tactics left a lasting mark on military history. These elite units, the Tagmata, the Varangian Guard, and the Cataphracts, were instrumental in the Byzantine Empire's ability to project power maintain internal stability, and defend its territories against a myriad of adversaries over nearly a millennium. Their evolution and effectiveness reflect the empire's broader strategic and military adaptations in response to changing threats and challenges. 4. Military leadership and command structure of the Byzantine Empire. Hierarchy within the Byzantine military. The Byzantine military hierarchy was a complex and highly organized system that evolved over the centuries to address the changing needs of the empire. At the top of the military command was the emperor, who was the supreme commander of all armed forces. The emperor often took a direct role in planning and leading military campaigns, especially during periods of significant external threats. Beneath the emperor, the military was divided into several tiers of command. The highest-ranking military officers were known as strategoi, singular strategos, who were responsible for the command of the thematic armies and regional defenses. The themes were military districts that also functioned as administrative units, combining civil and military authority in a single office. Within the themes, there were further subdivisions with officers of varying ranks. The tourmarshes commanded smaller divisions within a theme, often overseeing several drungoi battalions, each led by a drungarios. At the lower levels, kentarchoi, centurions, and decarchoi, decurions, commanded units of 110 men, respectively, ensuring that the military hierarchy extended down to the smallest tactical units. Key positions: strategos, domestic of the schools, and others strategos. The strategos was one of the most crucial positions in the Byzantine military hierarchy, originating in the late Roman period and becoming more defined during the reforms of Emperor Heraclius in the 7th century. Each strategos commanded a theme, a military and administrative district established to better defend the empire against external threats and manage internal affairs more effectively. The primary duty of a strategos was to oversee the military defense of their theme. This included maintaining and training the local militia, known as the thematic troops, and ensuring that they were well-equipped and ready for combat. The strategos had to coordinate defensive measures against invasions and raids, often leading their forces personally in battle. During large-scale conflicts, they would collaborate with other thematic commanders and the Central Imperial Army to form a cohesive and effective fighting force. This decentralized command structure allowed the empire to respond quickly to threats across its vast territory. Beyond military duties, the strategos was also responsible for the civil administration of their theme. This dual role included maintaining local order, enforcing imperial laws, and collecting taxes. The strategos needed to balance military readiness with economic stability, ensuring that their region could support both the army and the civilian population. They played a crucial role in local governance, acting as the emperor's representative in their district. The strategos regularly communicated with the central imperial administration, reporting on the status of their theme and receiving directives from the emperor and the central government. This ensured that the empire's strategic goals were met and that local actions were aligned with broader imperial policies. The strategos often had to navigate the complexities of local politics and rivalries while maintaining loyalty to the emperor. Domestic of the schools. The domestic of the schools, domestikos ton sholon, was the commander of the tagmata, the elite guard units that were a crucial part of the Byzantine military from the 8th century onwards. This position was highly prestigious and influential, often filled by trusted individuals close to the emperor. The tagmata were elite, professional troops stationed in and around Constantinople, distinct from the thematic armies which were more regionally based and composed of part-time soldiers. As the commander of these elite units, the domestic of the schools had direct control over some of the best-trained and most reliable forces in the empire. These troops were crucial for the defense of the capital, serving as the core of the imperial army in major campaigns and as the emperor's personal guard. The position of domestic of the schools was one of immense prestige. The domestic was often a member of the imperial court, involved in key political and military decisions. The role required a combination of military skill, political acumen, and personal loyalty to the emperor. Because of their close proximity to the emperor and their command of elite forces, the domestic wielded significant influence within the empire. The office of domestic of the schools was divided into the domestic of the east and the domestic of the west, each responsible for different geographical areas of the empire. This division allowed for more focused and effective command over the tagmata stationed in various regions, ensuring that both the eastern and western parts of the empire were adequately defended and that the elite units could be deployed efficiently as needed. Megadux. The Megadux, or Megas Du, was the commander-in-chief of the Byzantine navy, a position created during the reign of Alexios I Komnenos in the late 11th century. This role became increasingly important as naval power was crucial for protecting the empire's vast coastlines, securing maritime trade routes, and projecting military power across the Mediterranean. The Megadux oversaw all aspects of naval operations, including the construction and maintenance of ships, recruitment and training of sailors, and the planning and execution of naval campaigns. Under the Megadux's command, the Byzantine navy conducted operations ranging from large-scale fleet engagements to coastal raids and amphibious assaults. The position required a blend of administrative acumen and maritime expertise, as the Megadux had to manage the logistical complexities of sustaining naval operations over long distances, while ensuring the fleet's readiness for battle. Prominent holders of the Megadux position included Alexios Apokaukos, who served during the Byzantine Civil War in the mid-14th century and played a pivotal role in maintaining the loyalty of the navy during the conflict. The effectiveness of the Megadux and the navy was vital in securing Byzantine interests, especially during periods of heightened maritime threat from the Venetians, Genoese, and later the Ottoman Turks. Chartularios tou Kanikleou. The Chartularios tou Kanikleou was an important official responsible for military finances and logistics. This position entailed the management of the empire's fiscal resources allocated to the military, ensuring that funds were appropriately distributed for salaries, equipment, and supplies. The Chartularios tou Kanikleou was also in charge of maintaining records and overseeing the procurement of arms and armor, food, and other essential materials needed to sustain the army. Efficient logistics were crucial for the Byzantine military, which often had to operate over vast and varied terrains, from the Anatolian highlands to the Balkan mountains and the Mediterranean coasts. The Chartularios tou Kanikleiou's work was fundamental in organizing supply lines, arranging transportation, and coordinating the movement of troops and materials. This role required meticulous planning and a deep understanding of the empire's economic capabilities and limitations. Logothetes tou Dromou. The Logothetes tou Dromou was a high-ranking official in charge of the empire's communication and intelligence network. This position was crucial for maintaining effective governance and military coordination across the Byzantine Empire, which spanned diverse and often remote territories. The Logothetes tou Dromou oversaw the imperial postal system, ensuring that messages and orders from the emperor and central administration could reach provincial governors, military commanders, and other officials swiftly and reliably. This network, known as the cursus publicus, included relay stations and couriers strategically positioned to facilitate rapid communication. In addition to managing communications, the Logothetes tou Dromou played a vital role in intelligence gathering and espionage. This included monitoring the activities of foreign powers, assessing potential threats, and providing the emperor with critical information for decision-making. The Logothetes tou Dromou coordinated with provincial authorities and military leaders to gather intelligence on enemy movements, internal rebellions, and other security concerns. Historical evolution of the command structure. The command structure of the Byzantine military evolved significantly over time in response to internal challenges and external threats. In the early Byzantine period, the military was heavily influenced by Roman traditions, with a focus on disciplined legions and centralized command. The creation of the themes in the 7th century marked a major shift towards a more decentralized and regionally based defense system. This reform allowed for quicker mobilization and more effective local defense against the rapid advances of the Islamic Caliphate and other adversaries. During the Macedonian and Komnenian dynasties, the Byzantine military command structure became more sophisticated, with increased specialization of roles and the formation of elite units like the Tagmata and the Varangian Guard. The Komnenian emperors, in particular, centralized military command to ensure greater control and coordination, leading to several successful military campaigns and a temporary resurgence of Byzantine power. In the later Byzantine period, especially after the Fourth Crusade and the establishment of the Latin Empire, the command structure became more fragmented. The empire's diminished resources and territories forced reliance on mercenaries and local militias. Despite these challenges, the Byzantine military command structure remained adaptive, continuing to play a critical role in the empire's defense until its final fall in 1453. Famous Byzantine generals and their contributions. Belisarius. One of the most celebrated generals of the Byzantine Empire, Belisarius served under Emperor Justinian I and played a crucial role in the reconquest of former Roman territories. His campaigns in North Africa, Italy, and against the Persian Empire demonstrated his strategic brilliance and versatility as a commander. Nikephoros II. Phocas Nikephoros II, who later became emperor, was a prominent general known for his successful campaigns against the Arabs. He played a key role in recapturing Crete and expanding Byzantine control in the eastern Mediterranean. His military reforms and innovations in siege warfare significantly strengthened the empire's defensive capabilities. John I Zimisces. John I Zimisces, another general who ascended to the throne, was instrumental in securing the empire's northern borders and expanding its influence in the Balkans. His decisive victories against the Bulgarians and his campaigns in Syria and Mesopotamia consolidated Byzantine power and brought substantial territorial gains. Alexios I Komnenos. Alexios I, founder of the Komnenian dynasty, restored the Byzantine military after a period of decline. He implemented comprehensive military reforms, reorganized the army, and forged alliances with Western European powers. His leadership during the First Crusade and his defense against Norman and Seljuk invasions were pivotal in stabilizing the empire. Recruitment in the Byzantine Empire. Recruitment policies and strategies. Recruitment policies in the Byzantine military evolved significantly across different periods, reflecting the empire's changing needs and circumstances. In the early Byzantine period, recruitment followed Roman practices, with a mix of conscription and voluntary enlistment. As the empire faced increasing threats from the 7th century onwards, Emperor Heraclius introduced the thematic system, decentralizing recruitment and tying it to land tenure. From the 11th century, the use of professional soldiers and mercenaries became more common due to socio-political changes. Early recruitment efforts were centralized, with the central government overseeing enlistment and training. With the establishment of the themes, recruitment became localized, with thematic commanders responsible for raising and maintaining troops within their districts. The Byzantine state played a critical role in overseeing recruitment policies, while local authorities implemented these policies and managed the recruitment process. Thematic recruitment. The thematic system was designed to defend the empire against external threats by establishing military districts, each responsible for raising its own troops, supported by local resources. Soldiers in the thematic armies were often part-time warriors who also engaged in farming or other occupations. Local militias, composed of free peasants and landowners, were key to the thematic system, with community-based enlistment ensuring local populations were directly involved in their defense. Landowners and peasants had specific obligations to provide soldiers for the thematic armies, often tied to land tenure. This system created a sustainable and locally supported military structure. Recruitment and administration of diverse groups Armenians were actively recruited into the Byzantine military and were integrated into specialized units, known for their loyalty and military prowess. Other ethnic groups, such as Slavs, Goths, and others, were also recruited based on their martial capabilities, often forming distinct units that retained their cultural identity. The administration of these diverse groups required careful management to ensure cohesion and effectiveness. Ethnic contingents were often led by their own commanders, but operated under Byzantine officers, allowing the empire to harness the strengths of various ethnic groups while maintaining control. Notable units composed of non-Greek soldiers included the Varangian Guard and the Hedairea, which played crucial roles in military campaigns. Mercenaries played an increasingly important role, especially during periods of internal strife and external threats. They were recruited from various regions, including Western Europe, the Caucasus, and the Islamic world. Contracts outlined their service terms, pay, and obligations, integrating them into the Byzantine military structure while retaining their distinct identities. Conscription and voluntary enlistment. During times of crisis, conscription was employed to rapidly increase troop numbers, often involving mandatory service for all able-bodied men within a certain age range. To encourage voluntary enlistment, The Byzantine state offered incentives such as land grants, monetary rewards, and social privileges. These incentives made military service attractive, especially for those seeking to improve their social and economic standing. Conscription had significant impacts on local populations and the economy, as it removed men from agricultural and economic activities, sometimes leading to labor shortages and economic strain. Training and preparation of recruits. New recruits underwent extensive training, including physical conditioning, weapons training, and instruction in Byzantine military tactics and discipline. Specialized units, such as the Cataphracts and archers, received additional training tailored to their specific roles. Recruits were integrated into existing military units through mentorship and gradual incorporation, with experienced soldiers and officers helping new recruits adapt and develop their skills. The Byzantine Empire faced challenges in maintaining adequate troop levels, including population declines, economic difficulties, and competition from other employment opportunities. Various reforms were implemented to improve recruitment efficiency, such as enhancing incentives for enlistment and streamlining the recruitment process. Social class and status played significant roles in recruitment, with the lower classes providing the bulk of soldiers and the aristocracy serving as officers and commanders. Military service was generally regarded with respect and honor in Byzantine culture, seen as a key institution for protecting the empire and maintaining stability. 6. Byzantine military tactics and strategies. Byzantine military tactics and strategies evolved over centuries, reflecting the empire's changing geopolitical landscape and the diverse array of threats it faced. This chapter delves into the historical context and evolution of Byzantine defensive and offensive strategies, as well as the development and significance of naval warfare. Fortifications and city defenses. The Byzantine Empire inherited and refined Roman fortification techniques, adapting them to new threats and advancements in siege warfare. Fortifications were a cornerstone of Byzantine defensive strategy, aimed at protecting key cities, military strongholds, and strategic points across the empire. In the early Byzantine period, fortifications focused on major urban centers like Constantinople, which boasted the formidable Theodosian walls. These walls, built in the 5th century, featured a series of moats, outer walls, and inner walls, making the city nearly impregnable. Similar defensive structures were constructed in other important cities, including Thessaloniki and Antioch. With the establishment of the themes in the 7th century, fortifications were extended to provincial towns and military outposts. Each theme constructed its own defensive structures, ensuring that local garrisons could hold out against invasions until reinforcements arrived. This decentralized approach allowed for a more resilient defense network across the empire. Byzantine engineers developed advanced techniques to enhance fortifications, including the use of double walls, strategic placement of towers, and fortified gates. They also employed clever innovations such as angled bastions and sally ports to facilitate counterattacks during sieges. The use of Greek fire, a flammable liquid, in defensive measures further strengthened the empire's ability to repel attackers. Urban centers were fortified not just with walls, but also with citadels and internal strongholds. These inner defenses provided a last line of refuge for the population and military during prolonged sieges. Constantinople's walls, along with its strategic location, enabled it to withstand numerous sieges over the centuries, most notably during the Arab sieges in the 7th and 8th centuries and the Fourth Crusade in 1204. Use of combined arms and cavalry. The Byzantine military was renowned for its sophisticated use of combined arms tactics, integrating infantry, cavalry, and archers in coordinated operations to maximize their effectiveness on the battlefield. The Byzantines mastered the use of combined arms, deploying infantry and cavalry in complementary roles. Infantry units, often equipped with spears and shields, formed the core of the battle line, providing a steady base of operations. Behind them, archers and slingers delivered ranged attacks to disrupt enemy formations. Byzantine cavalry, particularly the Cataphracts, were heavily armored and highly trained, capable of delivering devastating charges. These elite units were supported by lighter cavalry, which performed reconnaissance, skirmishing, and flanking maneuvers. The combination of heavy and light cavalry allowed the Byzantines to adapt to various battlefield conditions and enemy tactics. Byzantine commanders were adept at using terrain to their advantage. often choosing battlegrounds that favored their defensive and offensive capabilities. Hills, rivers, and other natural features were used to channel enemy movements and create opportunities for ambushes and counterattacks. The Byzantine military's ability to adapt its tactics to different enemies was crucial to its success. Against the mobile Arab armies, they developed flexible defensive strategies and rapid response units. Against the heavy cavalry of the Normans and Western Europeans, they employed tactics that neutralized the enemy's strengths through strategic maneuvering and targeted strikes. Development of naval warfare. Naval power was a critical component of Byzantine military strategy, ensuring the protection of the empire's extensive coastlines, securing trade routes, and projecting power across the Mediterranean and Black Seas. The Byzantine navy evolved from the Roman fleet, inheriting its ships and maritime expertise. By the 6th century, under Emperor Justinian, the navy played a key role in his campaigns to reconquer lost territories in the west, providing logistical support and participating in naval battles. One of the most significant developments in Byzantine naval warfare was the invention of Greek fire in the 7th century. This incendiary weapon, delivered via siphons mounted on ships, could continue burning even on water, making it devastatingly effective against enemy fleets. Greek fire was a closely guarded state secret and played a crucial role in several Byzantine naval victories. The navy was organized into thematic fleets, each responsible for patrolling specific regions. The Karabizianoi, and later the Siberayot theme, were prominent naval districts tasked with defending the Aegean Sea and other critical maritime areas. The central command of the navy was held by the Megaducs, who coordinated operations and ensured the readiness of the fleet. Key naval bases, such as Constantinople, Thessaloniki, and Trebizond, were fortified and equipped with shipyards, arsenals, and supply depots. These bases allowed the Byzantine navy to maintain a strong presence and rapidly deploy forces where needed. The Byzantine navy was involved in numerous significant battles and campaigns, such as the defense against Arab naval invasions in the 7th and 8th centuries, and the struggle against the Venetians and Normans in the 11th and 12th centuries. The navy's ability to control sea routes and conduct amphibious operations was essential to the empire's survival and success. 7. Byzantine fortifications and military architecture. Byzantine fortifications and military architecture were crucial elements of the empire's defense strategy. They evolved over centuries to address various threats and played a key role in maintaining the empire's territorial integrity and controlling its vast lands. This chapter explores the sophisticated city walls, fortresses, and military engineering techniques employed by the Byzantines, with a focus on their role in defense and control. City walls and fortresses. The fortifications of Constantinople were among the most formidable in the medieval world. The Theodosian walls, constructed in the early 5th century under Emperor Theodosius II, comprised a series of defensive layers, including a moat, an outer wall, and a massive inner wall. The inner wall featured towers at regular intervals, which provided platforms for archers and artillery. These walls enabled Constantinople to withstand numerous sieges, including those by the Avars and Persians in 626 CE and the Arabs in the 7th and 8th centuries. The city's defenses were further enhanced with the addition of the Golden Horn chain, a massive iron chain stretched across the Golden Horn to prevent enemy ships from entering the harbor. Similar fortifications were built in other key cities across the empire. Thessaloniki, the empire's second-largest city, boasted impressive walls that helped it resist several sieges. The Hexamilion Wall, constructed across the Isthmus of Corinth, served as a critical defensive line against invasions from the Peloponnese. The city of Nicaea, fortified with double walls and a deep moat, was another significant example of Byzantine military architecture. Additionally, the fortress of Dorylaeum in Anatolia and the fortifications of Trebizond along the Black Sea coast showcased the strategic importance of regional strongholds. Throughout the empire, numerous provincial fortresses were constructed to protect against invasions and to maintain control over rebellious regions. Examples include the fortress of Antioch, which played a pivotal role during the Crusades, and the fortresses along the Danube River, such as Sirmium and Singidunum, which protected the empire's northern frontier against barbarian incursions. Military engineering techniques. Over the centuries, Byzantine military engineers were highly skilled Inheriting and advancing Roman engineering techniques, early fortifications utilized materials such as brick, stone, and concrete, with a focus on multi-layered defenses. Towers, bastions, and curtain walls were integrated to create formidable barriers against enemy forces. Engineers also designed complex gatehouses that combined defensive and offensive capabilities, often incorporating murder holes and portcullises. During the Middle Byzantine period, fortification techniques continued to evolve. The Byzantines made extensive use of defensive earthworks, such as ditches and ramparts, to augment stone walls. They also employed angled bastions and splayed walls to deflect projectiles and reduce the impact of battering rams. The use of Greek fire, a flammable liquid deployed from siphons, added a devastating defensive tool against besieging forces. In the late Byzantine period, fortifications were adapted to counter new threats, including those posed by siege artillery. Thicker walls and lower, more robust towers were constructed to withstand bombardment. The introduction of crenellations and machicolations provided defenders with better vantage points for repelling attackers. Fortresses were often built on elevated ground or strategically important locations, such as mountain passes and river crossings, to maximize their defensive potential. Role of fortifications in defense and control. Fortifications were the first line of defense against invasions and played a critical role in the Byzantine Empire's military strategy. They allowed smaller garrisons to hold off larger attacking forces until reinforcements could arrive. The psychological impact of formidable walls and impregnable fortresses also served as a deterrent to potential invaders. Beyond defense, fortifications were essential for maintaining control over vast and diverse territories. By fortifying key cities, trade routes, and strategic locations, the Byzantine Empire could project power and assert control over rebellious regions. Fortresses served as administrative centers, housing local governors and garrisons that enforced imperial authority. Fortified cities and towns also contributed to economic stability by protecting commercial hubs and ensuring the safe passage of goods. Secure trade routes facilitated economic growth, while the presence of military garrisons provided stability and order, reducing the likelihood of local uprisings. The construction and maintenance of grand fortifications were also a symbol of the emperor's power and the state's capability. Major fortification projects were often undertaken as part of broader efforts to consolidate power and demonstrate the empire's strength, both to its citizens and to foreign powers. Fate. Logistics and supply in Byzantine campaigns. Logistics and supply were critical components of Byzantine military strategy, underpinning the effectiveness and sustainability of campaigns. This chapter examines the importance of logistics in military planning, the role of supplies and warehouses, the development of supply lines and communication networks, and the historical impact of logistics on campaign outcomes. Importance of logistics in military planning. Effective logistics were vital for the success of Byzantine military campaigns. Proper planning ensured that troops were adequately supplied with food, weapons, and other essentials, allowing them to maintain their strength and effectiveness in the field. Byzantine military planners understood that logistical support was as important as battlefield tactics and strategy. Byzantine armies often operated far from their bases, requiring a steady flow of supplies to sustain them during extended campaigns. Ensuring that soldiers had adequate food, water, and medical supplies was crucial to maintaining morale and combat effectiveness. Good logistics allowed the Byzantine military to be more flexible and responsive. Armies with well-established supply lines could move quickly, exploit opportunities, and adapt to changing battlefield conditions. This flexibility was a key factor in many Byzantine victories. One of the primary challenges of pre-modern warfare was attrition due to disease, starvation, and exhaustion. Effective logistics mitigated these risks, ensuring that the army remained combat-ready and minimizing non-combat losses. Supplies and warehouses. The Byzantine Empire developed a sophisticated system of supplies and warehouses to support its military operations. Supplies were stored in strategic locations throughout the empire in well-protected warehouses. These storage facilities were located in major cities, fortresses, and along key logistical routes, ensuring that armies could access supplies quickly and efficiently. The Byzantines stockpiled a variety of supplies, including food, grain, dried meat, legumes, weapons and ammunition, clothing, medical supplies, and equipment for horses. The diversity and adequacy of these supplies were critical for sustaining long-term military operations. The management of these supplies fell to various officials, including the Chartularios tu Canicleo, who oversaw military finances and logistics. These officials were responsible for maintaining accurate inventories, managing distribution, and ensuring that supplies were replenished regularly. Development of supply lines, communication networks, and infrastructure Byzantine supply lines were meticulously planned to ensure that armies remained well-provisioned. Supply lines often followed major roads, rivers, and coastal routes, leveraging the empire's extensive transportation network. The construction and maintenance of roads, bridges, and ports were critical for the efficient movement of supplies. Effective communication was essential for coordinating logistics across the empire. The Byzantine Empire maintained a sophisticated communication network, including the cursus publicus, imperial courier system, which facilitated rapid transmission of orders and information between the central administration and military commanders in the field. The Byzantines invested heavily in infrastructure to support their logistical needs. This included the construction of granaries, water reservoirs, and medical facilities along major routes. Fortified camps and depots were established at key points to serve as staging areas and rest stops for troops. Historical impact of logistics on campaign outcomes. During the reign of Justinian I, effective logistics were crucial for the successful reconquest of former Roman territories in North Africa, Italy, and Spain. The ability to supply and reinforce distant armies allowed Byzantine forces to sustain prolonged campaigns and secure key victories against the Vandals and Ostrogoths. During the Arab-Byzantine wars of the 7th and 8th centuries, the Byzantine ability to maintain supply lines and fortified positions played a significant role in defending against Arab invasions. The strategic use of well-supplied fortresses and the ability to quickly move supplies and reinforcements were pivotal in repelling sieges and countering incursions. The disastrous defeat at the Battle of Manzikert highlighted the consequences of logistical failures. The Byzantine army, suffering from stretched supply lines and poor coordination, was unable to maintain cohesion, leading to a catastrophic loss that resulted in the empire's loss of most of Anatolia. During the Komnenian Restoration in the 12th century, emperors like Alexios I Komnenos reformed the military and its logistics. Improved supply chains and better organized provisioning systems allowed Byzantine armies to regain territory and reassert control over key regions. The Fourth Crusade's capture of Constantinople was facilitated by logistical shortcomings on the part of the Byzantines, who were unable to effectively supply and reinforce the city's defenders. The loss of the capital demonstrated the critical importance of robust logistical support in defending key strategic positions. 9. The decline and fall of Byzantine military power. The decline and eventual fall of Byzantine military power was a complex process influenced by a combination of internal challenges and external threats. This chapter explores the factors that contributed to the weakening of the Byzantine military, key battles and events that led to the fall of Constantinople in 1453, and a historical analysis of the decline of the military system. Internal challenges, political instability, and economic decline. Throughout its history, the Byzantine Empire faced significant political instability, particularly in its later centuries. Frequent changes in leadership, court intrigues, and civil wars weakened the central authority and diverted resources from defense. Emperors often had to contend with usurpers and rival factions, leading to a fragmented and less effective government. The Byzantine economy, once a powerhouse of the Mediterranean, began to decline due to a combination of factors including excessive taxation, debasement of the currency, and loss of critical territories that contributed to the imperial revenue. The shrinking economic base reduced the empire's ability to maintain and equip a large professional military force. Additionally, the disruption of trade routes by hostile forces further strained the economy. Attempts to reform the military, such as the pronoia system where land grants were given in exchange for military service, often led to inefficiencies and corruption. The financial burden of maintaining mercenary forces and elite units like the Varangian Guard also drained the empire's resources, making it difficult to sustain prolonged military campaigns or large-scale defensive efforts. External threats: rise of the Seljuks, Crusades, and the Ottoman Turks. The emergence of the Seljuk Turks in the 11th century posed a significant threat to the Byzantine Empire. The Seljuks defeated the Byzantines at the Battle of Manzikert in 1071, resulting in the loss of most of Anatolia, a crucial region for the empire's economy and military recruitment. This defeat marked a turning point, significantly weakening Byzantine control over its eastern provinces. The Crusades, initially seen as an opportunity for Byzantine Western cooperation against common Muslim enemies, eventually turned into a significant threat. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 resulted in the sack of Constantinople and the establishment of the Latin Empire. The fragmentation of Byzantine territories into several competing states, Nicaea, Trebizond, Epirus, further weakened the empire and diverted efforts from defense against external threats. The rise of the Ottoman Turks in the 14th and 15th centuries presented an existential threat to the Byzantine Empire. The Ottomans gradually conquered Byzantine territories, encircling Constantinople. Their strategic use of artillery, disciplined military tactics, and effective leadership under figures like Sultan Mehmed II ultimately led to the fall of Constantinople in 1453. Key battles and events leading to the fall of Constantinople in 1453. The Byzantine defeat at Manzikert, 1071, resulted in the loss of Anatolia, severely weakening the empire's military and economic base. This battle marked the beginning of the decline in Byzantine military power. The sacking of Constantinople by the Crusaders devastated the Byzantine Empire. The establishment of the Latin Empire fragmented Byzantine territories and significantly weakened the central authority, leading to a period of internal strife and diminished military capability. The Battle of Bapheus, 1302, marked the first significant victory of the Ottoman Turks against the Byzantines, signaling the rise of Ottoman power and the beginning of the end for Byzantine control in Asia Minor. The final siege of Constantinople, 1453, by the Ottoman Turks, led by Sultan Mehmed II, resulted in the fall of the city on May 29, 1453. Despite valiant defense efforts by the Byzantines, the overwhelming Ottoman forces, equipped with powerful cannons, breached the city's walls, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire. Historical analysis of the decline of the military system. Structural weaknesses. The Byzantine military system faced several structural weaknesses over time. The reliance on mercenaries and the prowess system reduced the effectiveness and loyalty of the military. The thematic system, once a robust defensive structure, became less effective as the empire's economic base shrank and administrative inefficiencies grew. Technological lag. While the Byzantines were pioneers in military technology and strategy, they eventually fell behind their adversaries, particularly the Ottomans, who effectively utilized gunpowder artillery. The Byzantine failure to keep pace with technological advancements in warfare contributed to their military decline. Loss of manpower, continuous wars, plagues, and economic hardship led to a decline in population, reducing the pool of available soldiers. The empire's inability to field large, well-equipped armies weakened its defensive and offensive capabilities. Diplomatic isolation. The Byzantine Empire became increasingly isolated diplomatically. Relations with Western Europe were strained, particularly after the Fourth Crusade, and appeals for military aid were often unmet, or came with conditions that further weakened Byzantine sovereignty. The empire's inability to secure reliable and significant external support left it vulnerable to encroaching enemies. Cultural and religious divisions. Internal divisions, including religious conflicts such as the Great Schism between the Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic churches, further weakened the empire's unity and resolve. These divisions often hindered coordinated defense efforts and made it difficult to present a united front against external threats. The decline and fall of Byzantine military power were the results of a combination of internal weaknesses and external pressures. Political instability, economic decline, and structural inefficiencies undermined the empire's ability to defend itself, while the rise of powerful adversaries like the Seljuks and Ottomans accelerated its downfall. The fall of Constantinople in 1453 marked the end of a millennium-long empire, closing a significant chapter in world history. Conclusion. The Byzantine military played a crucial role in the empire's longevity, allowing it to withstand numerous invasions and internal conflicts for over 1,000 years. Its sophisticated organizational structures, such as the thematic system and innovative strategies, including the use of Greek fire, were instrumental in maintaining Byzantine dominance in the eastern Mediterranean. The empire's ability to adapt its military tactics to counter various threats, from the Persians and Arabs to the Crusaders and Ottomans, was a testament to its resilience and strategic acumen. The legacy of Byzantine military organization has had a lasting impact on subsequent history. Byzantine military tactics and engineering influenced medieval European warfare, particularly through the adoption of fortification techniques and combined arms strategies. The Byzantine concept of a professional standing army, exemplified by the Tagmata, also informed the development of military systems in both Eastern and Western Europe. The use of ethnic and foreign troops, such as the Varangian Guard, demonstrated an early form of multi-ethnic integration within military ranks, a practice that would become more common in later centuries. Ultimately, the Byzantine military's enduring legacy lies in its innovative approach to warfare and its ability to sustain one of history's longest-lasting empires. Despite its eventual fall, the strategic and organizational advancements pioneered by the Byzantines continued to influence military thought and practice long after the empire's decline, leaving an indelible mark on the history of warfare.